For 5 long years, Ethan Blackwood, the ruthless billionaire CEO, built an empire made of glass and guilt. The one woman who had ever loved him, Mia, had vanished without a word. He told himself he didn't care, that business mattered more than emotions. But when a late-night call from St. Clair Hospital came, his world stopped. The name he heard, Mia Collins, hit him harder than any loss. Standing before a blinking heart monitor, Ethan felt the air leave his chest. The woman on that bed wasn't just his past. She was the reason his heart had never healed. And when he saw the little girl beside her, clutching Mia's hand, everything he thought he knew about his life, his choices, and his future shattered. The city never slept, and neither did Ethan Blackwood. From his 70th floor penthouse, the lights of the skyline shimmered like his empire, vast, cold, and untouchable. He had built everything from the ground up, his company, his power, his reputation as the man who never looked back. But tonight, as the rain lashed against the glass walls, he couldn't shake a strange restlessness that refused to die. The phone rang, sharp and sudden. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. But something in that moment, a hesitation, a quiet pull, made him pick up. Mr. Blackwood. A woman's voice, professional, shaking slightly. This is St. Clair Hospital. We have a patient, Mia Collins. You're listed as her emergency contact. The world froze. MIA. He whispered, the name tasting like a memory. That can't be right. She left years ago. She's been admitted in critical condition, the nurse said softly. We thought you should know. For the first time in years, Ethan didn't think. He just moved. The elevator ride down felt endless. The city lights blurred past the rain. His driver tried to speak, but Ethan's mind was somewhere else. Back to the day she walked out of his office, her voice trembling. You'll never understand what love costs, Ethan. Not until you lose it. He had lost her. He had buried that ache under deals, numbers, and glass towers. And now, she was fighting for her life. When he reached the hospital, the sterile smell of antiseptic hit him harder than he expected. The fluorescent lights, the murmuring nurses, the distant sound of machines, everything felt too real. Mia Collins, he said at the reception, his voice low, almost foreign to his own ears. Room 417. The nurse replied. Each step down that hallway felt heavier. Then he saw her lying still, pale, fragile, with tubes running from her arm and a monitor, quietly beeping beside her. The woman who once laughed like summer storms, now looked like a ghost of herself. Ethan's breath caught. Mia. Her face was thinner, her skin paper white, and sitting beside her, half asleep with a small teddy bear clutched to her chest, was a little girl, maybe 4, maybe 5, with dark curls and familiar blue-gray eyes. His eyes. He froze, his throat tightened, his chest aching as if someone had ripped open every wall he had built. The child stirred and looked up, sleepy but alert. Mommy, she whispered, touching Mia's hand. Then her gaze met his curious, cautious. Who are you? She asked softly. He couldn't speak. For the first time in years, Ethan Blackwood, the man who commanded boardrooms, found no words. The door opened quietly. A doctor stepped in, glancing between them. Mr. Blackwood. Ethan nodded automatically. She's stable for now, but it was close. The doctor explained. Stress, exhaustion, untreated infection. She's been overworking and ignoring her own health for months. You're lucky we got to her in time. Lucky, Ethan repeated under his breath, his eyes never leaving Mia's face. The doctor followed his gaze to the little girl. Her daughter's been by her side the entire night. Brave kid. Daughter. The word hit him like lightning. He took a step back, mind spinning, the truth clawing its way through disbelief. That age, those eyes, that tiny frown that mirrored his own when he was angry. No, it couldn't be. But deep inside, something already knew. He sat down slowly in the chair beside the hospital bed. The girl watched him quietly, clutching the teddy bear tighter. Do you know who I am? He finally asked. She shook her head. No? What's your name? Luna. Luna. He whispered. That's beautiful. She smiled faintly. Mommy says it means light, because I was born on a full moon night. A small tear slipped down his cheek before he could stop it. He turned away, hiding it behind a hand. Outside, the storm grew louder. Inside, Ethan watched the monitor beep softly, each pulse reminding him of the years he wasted chasing power, while the one person who loved him had fought her battles alone. He leaned forward, his voice trembling. Why didn't you call me, Mia? But he already knew the answer. He had ignored her calls once too many times, and now, maybe it was too late to answer. He looked at Luna again, and a silent promise formed in his heart. Not this time, never again. The hospital room had gone quiet, only the faint rhythm of the monitor filled the space. Steady, fragile, like the heartbeat of the past Ethan had buried. He hadn't moved since the doctor left. His eyes were still on the woman lying before him, Mia Collins. Once, her laughter had been his favorite sound. Now, her silence was his punishment. The little girl Luna had fallen asleep on the couch, her tiny hand still clutching the teddy bear. Ethan sat beside her mother, elbows on his knees, staring at the monitor's slow, blinking light. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you face everything alone? He'd spent years convincing himself that losing Mia had been her choice, that she was the one who walked away. But now, nothing made sense. A soft knock broke his thoughts. A nurse peeked in. She's stable, Mr. Blackwood. She'll wake up soon. He nodded silently. When the nurse left, Ethan leaned closer to Mia. I don't even know what I'd say if you could hear me, he whispered. I was so focused on building a life, I forgot to live one. You tried to reach out, and I turned away. He swallowed hard. You said one day I'd understand what love costs. I do now. Hours passed before her eyelids fluttered. Slowly, painfully, Mia stirred, her breathing uneven. Ethan straightened, heart racing. Mia. Her lips moved. Dry, fragile. Ethan. He nodded quickly. Yeah. I'm here. Her eyes opened halfway, dazed, trying to focus. When they finally met his, everything stopped. Why? She whispered. He frowned. Why what? Why now? Her voice trembled, a mix of exhaustion and disbelief. You always hated hospitals. I got a call, he said quietly. They said you were in critical condition. I couldn't stay away. Tears welled up in her eyes, rolling down the sides of her face. You shouldn't have come. He blinked. What do you mean? This isn't your problem anymore. Mia, her voice broke. You made that clear years ago, Ethan. When you ignored my calls, when you chose meetings over moments. I begged you to listen. Just once. He clenched his fists, shame burning in his chest. I know. I was wrong. I thought I was protecting us, building something real, but I was blind. Her breathing grew shallow. It doesn't matter now. Yes, it does, he said fiercely. Because when I saw you here, when I saw her, her eyes darted toward the couch, where Luna slept peacefully. She froze, then looked back at him, fear flickering across her face. She's yours, isn't she? He asked softly. Mia's lips parted, trembling. I don't want to fight, she whispered. I'm not fighting, he said, voice cracking. Just tell me the truth. She turned her face away, tears spilling freely now. Yes, she breathed. She's your daughter. The words hung heavy in the air, shattering every wall he had ever built. Ethan leaned back, stunned. His chest rose and fell rapidly, his mind flashing through years of what could have been. Her first steps, her first word, her first day at school, moments he had missed because of his pride. Why didn't you tell me? His voice broke. I tried, Mia said weakly. For months. I left messages, emails. I called your office. Your assistant said you were too busy, that you didn't take personal calls. He shut his eyes, guilt ripping through him. I thought you were trying to drag me back into something I couldn't handle. She let out a soft, bitter laugh. You mean love? He didn't answer. He couldn't. Mia looked at him through tears. I wasn't asking for money, Ethan. I just wanted her to know her father. But after a while, I realized I had to protect her from your world, from the version of you that forgot how to care. Ethan stood abruptly, pacing to the window, his reflection fractured by the rain outside. You think I wouldn't have changed for her? Mia's voice was barely a whisper. You couldn't even change for me. The words cut deeper than any wound. He turned back slowly, the weight of truth pressing down on him. Then let me change now, he said quietly. Please. Her eyes softened, sadness replacing anger. You can't fix 5 years in one night. Maybe not, he admitted, but I can start with one promise. What promise? He looked toward Luna, that she never have to wonder who her father is again. Mia's breath caught, her eyes filling with emotion she tried to suppress. She's smart, Ethan, kinder than both of us. Don't hurt her. I won't, he said, stepping closer. Not her, not you. A silence settled between them, the kind that carried both pain and possibility. When the nurse came to check her vitals, Ethan stepped back, giving space. Mia closed her eyes, exhaustion taking over. But before she drifted off again, she whispered one last thing. She loves to draw, she murmured, voice fading. She draws the moon every night, because she says her daddy lives there. Ethan froze, his throat tightening. He looked at Luna, sleeping peacefully, And something inside him finally broke. For the first time in years, the mighty Ethan Blackwood bowed his head and cried, not for what he lost, but for what he almost never found. The morning light filtered through the hospital blinds, painting pale gold lines across the room. The beeping of the monitors was steady now, softer, like a quiet heartbeat that promised hope instead of fear. Ethan sat in the corner chair. Still in the same suit from the night before, he hadn't slept. His tie was loosened, his eyes red, but his focus never left the two sleeping figures in the room, Mia and the little girl he now knew was his daughter. He whispered her name to himself again, Luna. It felt strange and sacred on his tongue, a word he'd never spoken. Yet somehow it felt like it had always belonged to him. He glanced at the child's face, her soft curls falling across her forehead, her tiny hand still holding her mother's. A small bracelet glittered on her wrist. He leaned closer, it read, Luna M. Blackwood. His chest tightened. Mia had given her his last name, even after everything. Around 9 a.m., Luna stirred awake. Her sleepy eyes blinked open, and when they found him sitting there, she sat up slightly, rubbing her eyes. You're still here, she said, her voice small. He smiled faintly. Yeah, I wanted to make sure your mom's okay. She nodded. Mommy's strong, she always gets better. Ethan hesitated before asking, do you come here often? She shook her head. No, Mommy works a lot. She got sick after taking care of everyone else. Her words twisted in his chest. He swallowed. You take care of her too. Luna smiled proudly. I make her soup, and I tell her stories before bed. She says I'm her moonlight. He smiled softly, but inside, guilt pressed harder. The woman he once pushed away had been fighting life alone, and this little girl had been her light through the darkness. When Mia woke later that morning, her first sight was Ethan helping Luna pour juice into a paper cup. The image froze her, surreal and painful. For a moment, she saw what could have been a family breakfast, a shared laugh, a home. Good morning, he said gently. She cleared her throat. You're still here? Yeah, he said simply. I'm not going anywhere. She sighed, looking at him with weary eyes. You don't have to do this out of guilt. He looked at her directly. Maybe guilt brought me here, but love will keep me here. Her lips parted slightly. The sincerity in his voice disarmed her. Later that afternoon, a doctor came in to discuss Mia's condition. Ethan listened intently, asking questions, taking notes, even arranging for a private room and a specialist consultation. Mia protested. Ethan, that's not necessary, he interrupted gently. It is. You're not alone anymore. For the first time, she didn't argue. Her body was weak, her spirit tired. Deep down, she didn't have the strength to push him away anymore, and maybe, just maybe, a part of her didn't want to. The next few days passed in quiet rhythm. Ethan visited daily, sometimes staying late into the night. He'd bring Luna coloring books, puzzles, or hot chocolate from the cafe downstairs. She'd tell him about her favorite cartoons, her drawings, and her dream to go to the moon one day. Every little thing she did broke him a little more because he could see himself in her. The determination, the curiosity, the stubborn spark. Once, when she fell asleep holding his hand, Mia watched silently from her bed. You're good with her, she murmured. He smiled faintly, brushing Luna's hair back. Guess I'm finally learning how to be a dad. Mia's gaze softened. She's waited her whole life to meet you. She just didn't know it. Ethan turned to her, voice quiet. And I've spent mine waiting to deserve this. One evening, as the city lights flickered outside, Mia and Ethan sat in silence, watching Luna draw on a sketch pad. The soft sound of crayons filled the room. She's talented, Ethan said, smiling. Mia nodded. She draws what she feels. It helps her understand the world. Luna turned the pad toward them, a drawing of 3 stick figures standing under a moon. One tall, one medium, one small. Above them, she'd written in wobbly letters, My family. Ethan's throat tightened. She said she dreamed of this last night, Mia whispered. He looked at her, eyes wet. I won't let her dream be just a drawing. Days later, Mia was discharged. Still weak but improving. Ethan insisted on driving them home. Her apartment was small but warm. Walls covered in Luna's art. And a faint smell of lavender in the air. He looked around quietly. You built a life, he said softly. A simple one, Mia replied. But it's ours. He nodded, running a hand over one of Luna's paintings on the wall. A moon surrounded by stars. She's your light. He murmured. Mia looked at him, eyes glistening. She's the only reason I survived. He turned to her, voice heavy. Then let me help you live, Mia. Both of you. She frowned slightly. Ethan. He took a step closer. I can't change the past. But I can give you the future you deserved then, and the one she deserves now. Her voice trembled. You can't just walk back into our lives and fix everything overnight. I don't want to fix everything overnight, he said. I want to earn it. Day by day, moment by moment. A silence fell. Outside, rain began to fall again, gentle, rhythmic, like an echo of the night they had reconnected. Ethan looked at her with the same intensity that once drew her. In years ago, but this time, it wasn't pride in his eyes. It was love, real, unguarded, broken love. Let me try, he whispered, not as the man I was, but as the father and partner I should have been. Her eyes shimmered. And if I say no, he smiled faintly, wiping a tear from her cheek, then I'll wait, because this time, I'm not walking away. That night, after tucking Luna into bed, Mia stepped onto her small balcony. The city glowed below, endless and alive. Ethan joined her silently, offering her a cup of tea. For a long time, neither spoke. The wind carried the hum of distant sirens, the rhythm of rain, and the quiet beating of two hearts learning to sink again. Mia finally whispered, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had answered that call?" He looked at her. "Every day, and I'll spend the rest of my life making up for not answering it." She turned to him slowly, her walls beginning to crumble. "I want to believe you." He met her gaze, steady, sure, then let me prove it. Later, when Ethan left, Luna sleepily called out from her room, "Daddy." He froze. Mia looked at him from the hallway, tears instantly welling in her eyes. Luna smiled dreamily. "Daddy, can we go see the moon tomorrow?" Ethan's voice broke as he whispered, "Yeah, sweetheart, we'll see the moon together." And for the first time in years, Ethan Blackwood left a room not as a CEO, but as a father who had finally found what truly mattered. The city slept beneath silver rain, but inside Mia's apartment, the night was alive with quiet memories, laughter from a little girl's room, the faint hum of the fridge, and two hearts that hadn't stopped beating for each other even after years apart. Ethan stood at the window, watching Luna's drawings taped to the glass suns, moons, stars, and one crooked heart labeled, "Mommy plus Daddy equals me." His chest ached. Every color on that paper felt like a confession. Behind him, Mia's soft voice broke the silence. "You're still awake." He turned. She stood in her robe, hair loose, eyes tired but calm. "Couldn't sleep," he admitted. "My mind keeps going back to that night. The night you called." Her breath hitched. "Ethan," he stepped closer, voice trembling. "I saw the missed call for years. I kept it in my phone, even after we ended. I just couldn't bring myself to delete it. I didn't know it was that night." Mia looked down, tears catching the lamplight. "I was in the hospital then. I was bleeding. I needed you. But your secretary said you were in a meeting about your new company deal." Ethan closed his eyes, pain flashing across his face. "I remember that meeting. I thought I was building an empire. I didn't know I was destroying my life." They sat in silence for a long moment, the sound of rain filling the space between them. Mia finally said softly, "I never wanted your money, Ethan. I just wanted you to show up." He looked at her, eyes glistening. "I know, and I failed you. But if you'll let me, I'll spend the rest of my life showing up. Not just for you, but for her." Days turned into weeks. Ethan began rearranging his life quietly but completely. Meetings were rescheduled. Projects were delegated. His driver learned a new route, one that always ended near Mia's apartment. He'd take Luna to school some mornings, holding her tiny backpack with a seriousness that made Mia smile. He'd cook sometimes badly, but with heart-burning pancakes just to make Luna laugh. Slowly, the rhythm of family began to take shape. But ghosts don't disappear overnight. One evening, Luna came home holding a school paper titled "My Family Tree." In the space for father, she'd drawn a stickman labeled Mr. Ethan, and underneath, a tiny note, "Maybe one day he'll stay forever." Ethan stared at it in silence, the paper shaking in his hand. That night, he went to the hospital rooftop, the same one where he'd first realized the truth, and called Mia. "I need to tell you something," he said, voice breaking. She arrived a few minutes later, breathless, worried. "What's wrong?" He looked at her, rain clinging to his hair. "I don't deserve to be her father, or your partner, not after what I did, but if you'll give me the chance, I'll earn both titles, one day at a time." Mia stepped closer. "You already started, Ethan. She calls you daddy in her sleep." He exhaled shakily. "Then I'll make sure she never has to stop." Months later, spring arrived, and with it, sunlight and second chances. Ethan sold his controlling share in the company that had once cost him everything. He used the money to open a charity wing at the same hospital where he'd found them. Again, a children's recovery unit named the Luna Foundation. At the opening ceremony, Mia stood beside him, tears in her eyes as Luna cut the ribbon with tiny hands. Cameras flashed, applause rose, but for Ethan, the world faded. All he saw was his family. That night, as they drove home, Luna leaned from the back seat, holding her drawing pad. "Daddy, I made something." He smiled. "Let's see." She showed him a picture of 3 stick figures again, but this time, beneath the moon. They stood inside a heart, and under it, in bright pink letters, it read, "Home." Mia looked at Ethan, whispering, "She got it right." He reached for her hand, eyes shining. "So did we." The city lights reflected off the windshield like falling stars. And for the first time in years, Ethan Blackwood wasn't running from anything. He had already arrived right where he was always meant to be.